Okay, this account is expired, so we will not able to apply policy and security on our API, but I have another account. Okay, so here I have 3 API. This is related to some other assignment. So customer process, system and experience API we have. This is runtime manager. Okay. Next, we have this API manager. Can anyone tell me how this API manager and runtime manager communicate with each other? Anyone? Like, it's a very common interview question. How they interact with each other.
You need API discovery.
Yes, correct. Yes, we need API auto discovery ID. Now, whenever you want to apply policy and security, what will be your first step? You need to register your API. And how you will register your API? First, you need to publish your YAML on Exchange, and then you will get option here to publish your to register your API, managing from Exchange, create new API and import. So if you want to take from Exchange, you will select this option. Once you will register your API, you will able to see your API here. And if you want to apply policy and security, you need to click on that API. And after that, you will able to see here multiple options. So first, contracts. If you are applying any rate limiting, client ID enforcement, then you will able to see contracts here. They did some change in console. Okay, this part I need to check. Coming to policy part. So here you will able to apply all the policy. So by default, like Mulesoft has out of box these many policy. Okay, we don't use all policy very frequently. Okay. But let's discuss one by one. Client ID enforcement we use very frequently. Cross origin rarely you will use. Detokenization rarely you will use. OAuth frequently you will use. Header injection, header removal very rarely you will use. Basic authentication frequently used policy. HTTP caching frequently used. IP whitelisting and blacklisting very rarely, since most of the project use this load balancer. Okay, then there only we do this. JSON thread, this depend, like rarely you can say. JWT, this will be frequently used policy. Basic authentication, LDAP, this will use very rarely. Message logging, again this one will be rarely used. Rate limiting and rate limiting SLA based, these two are frequently used. Spike control also frequently used. Tokenization rarely used. XML thread rarely used. So whatever frequently used policy are there, I will discuss one by one, and then few policy we will see. Okay. Client ID enforcement. So for this policy, what you need to do, first you need to publish your API on Exchange. Okay, let's say we have this many of API. Which API we opened here? This one is XP API. So go to there, and then change their design and all. Okay, I think recently they changed their look and feel. Okay, so here you can get request access, and here let's say you have sandbox, then select application since we don't have any. So this one is client ID. Click on create. and then request access. So what it will do, it will give you client ID and client secret, and you have given some name that you will able to see here. Okay, just now I created this. It will come inside contracts. Okay, now when you will apply this client ID client secret policy, then you need to pass that client ID and client secret to call this API. And how you will apply this policy, go to apply policy and then select anyone, configure policy. Here it will ask you want to use this as a basic authentication header or custom expression. Custom expression means you need to define header name. Okay, in our case we did custom header one, client ID and client secret we are passing inside header. If you want to pass inside basic authentication, you need to select this one. Okay, now you want to apply that policy for all the resources within that application, or you want to apply for only few resources. If you want to apply for all, you will select this option. Only few resources, then you will select this option. In that case, you need to define here regex, and you need to select method for which method you want to apply and what will be regex for particular resource that you need to define here. Okay, after this, once you will click on apply, that policy will be applied for this API. And whenever you will call this API, you must need to pass these two header, client ID and client secret, with these two value.
Ravi, what is regex here?
Okay, regex means, for example, you have multiple resources. Okay, you have resources like slash customer. Okay, inside slash customer, you have like customer login, like login, registration, forgot credential, forgot password. Okay, there are multiple nested resources are there. So if you will put star, means it will be applied for all the resources. And if you will put only login, then only for login, customer login.
Resource.
What happened with G? Only for customer login, this, and with this patch method, this policy will work. It will not work for any other policy. Only this resource will need that particular policy. Other resources you can call without that policy. Just give me 1 minute.
Thank you.
Is there any way you apply policy to an environment?
Just give me 1 minute. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting too many calls. Okay, so yeah, someone was asking some question. You can ask again.
Can we apply policy to an environment?
Policy to environment. What does it mean?
You have application,
Yes,
for
yes, yes.
instance.
We are applying to environment only. This policy only for sandbox environment. If you want to apply for other environment, you need to select that environment and you need to apply policy there.
Okay, it's not like to specific to an application, right?
No, no, it's a specific to environment and
Okay,
application. Environment and application both.
okay.
Ravi, in this client ID, client secret is different for the RAML where we added the client ID, client secret, or same.
There we haven't applied policy. There we define what header we will pass. Client ID and client secret we will pass in header. That header we define. And here we are defining this, we are applying that policy and we are defining from where I will get client ID and client secret. So we have given path of header.
Oh, okay, okay. Means these only need to be processing to their headers. Okay, right.
Yes, yes. From that header, actually, if you remember, I told you that path. So header path was there, client ID and client secret was there mentioned. Okay, in Ramal also they have mentioned like you can define like this. Okay, if you want to define in your header. But where to edit this policy? So here you are defining from which header you will pick that client ID and client secret. And if you remember, inside header we have defined client ID and client secret. That is the same header. Is it clear?
Yes, Ravi.
Okay. Now coming to next policy. Basic authentication, it's very straightforward. You need to select this, configure this policy. You need to give user name and password. Same option we have here for all or for specific one. And this user ID and password, user like if someone is calling our API, they need to pass this user ID and password. Otherwise, they will not able to call this API. So this is very straightforward. Then coming to next policy.
Ravi, can we apply more than one policy to an API?
Yes, yes. We have just now we applied two policy. We can
Okay.
apply HTTP caching. This policy we will use whenever we want to do caching. Okay. And this caching will be done at gateway level. It will not go to API level. For example, if your API is getting request for one user having user ID ABC, you are sending some response and you are thinking like that response will not keep changing very frequently. If next time also they are calling, instead of calling backend system, you can reply from gateway itself. Once request will come on gateway level, you are doing caching. So it will check that cache. If that request has response, it will take response from cache and it will send back. It will not call your actual API implementation. So it will increase performance of your API. But you need to be careful. Your API should not be frequently changing API. Like your API response is not changing very frequently. Means if your API, like for example, your API is not changing data for 10 minutes, then you can do caching for 5 minutes. IP allow list and blacklist. Okay, IP allow list here, like what you will do, whatever IP you will define, your API will able to take request only from those IP. For example, you define two IP in allow list, only from those IP request will come to your API. If someone will call from different IP, that request will be blocked. Blacklist. So if you want to black some specific IP, then you can apply this policy. For example, I want to blacklist one particular IP, so you can apply this policy. This one is very important, JWT token. So here, let's select this JWT token, this latest version, and configure policy. Now here it will ask where you want to take that JWT token, inside bearer token or custom expression. Here also you can use custom expression, or you can take inside bearer token. Okay, so here you need to pass authorization header if you will select this option. And if you remember, in Experience API, we did authorization header. Okay, so this value will come here. Now you need to check with your JWT token service provider. Okay, they will tell you what algorithm they are using to create their token, JWT token. So same algorithm you need to configure here. And then they will create two keys. One is private key, another one is public key. Private key they will configure on their side, public key they will share with you. Using private key they will create token, they will encrypt token, and here they will give you that public key. That key will use to decrypt that token, to validate that token is valid or not. So whatever public key they will give you, you need to copy paste here. And here we have some instruction. Include the public key without begin public key and end public key. You need to remove that part. Whenever they will share public key, by default format is will start with this value and end with this value. So when they will share public key with you, you need to remove these two lines and then you need to paste it here. Okay. And then yeah, this one. Skip client ID validation. Okay. If you will select this option, then if you have applied client ID also, then it will skip that validation. Then we have multiple. One more thing was there, I think I can't see now. Okay, fine. Now same thing here, like you want to apply for all or one. Okay, and then you can apply. Okay, here you can see this has some order also. Okay, so this policy will be applied in same order, what you can see here. So you can change order also. So right now order is first client ID will be checked, then basic authentication will be checked, then JWT token will be checked. Now I want first check client ID, then first check JWT token, then client ID, then basic authentication. So you can change the order from here and apply order. Next, coming to
Ravi, is it possible to apply this JWT token in one of our payment module API and see how it will work, since you said it is very important?
okay. For this we need one JWT token provider.
Oh, okay.
So we need one JWT token provider. They will provide that token. Actually, what I mentioned. This is very straightforward. It's not very complex. Okay. You just need to configure in this way and it will work. We don't have any JWT token provider, so we can't apply and we can test. But I already mentioned all these steps. There will not be anything extra.
Okay.
On this one, a little bit confused. So when we worked on a requirement, then that provider will be given to you, or
Okay.
I'm trying to envision like how
That is third-party system. Okay, you need to purchase their service. Okay. So there are multiple JWT token provider are there in market. For example, like we have Google. Google also provide. Then JWT IO one company is there. They provide this service. Then Alibaba Cloud, they provide this service. So multiple provider are there. You can take service from any provider and they will charge some amount to you.
How does Mulesoft know which provider you're working with when you use this, when you apply this policy?
I worked for two clients. In one client, I used Alibaba.
No, I mean like from when I use this JWT validation from the platform, right?
Yes,
Oh, you just like you get that token from them and then you apply it in here. I see.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so there will be any third party. They will provide third party JWT token service provider. You need to buy their subscription, and then they will give you their public key. Okay, you need to configure that their public key in this particular policy. And then before making call to this API, first you will make call to their API, and they will give you one token and you will pass that token in authorization header.
Okay, and they control like, for how long that token is valid, like the
Yes, that
expiration
you
date.
need to configure there. That you need to
Oh,
configure their expiration time and all.
okay. Thank you.
So next, rate limiting and spike control. Okay, and SLA based rate limiting is also there. So rate limiting policy works like how many requests you will serve in a minute. If request will reach that limit, after that you will not able to call this API. Okay, so here number of request, duration, and time unit in millisecond or second. For example, in 1 second I want to allow maximum 60 requests. So this will be configuration. Okay, so in this way you can control how many requests someone can call, someone can make for this API. Okay, so this one is rate limiting. In spike control, you will have some queue also. Like after this limit, if new request will come, there will be some limit of that queue. So few requests will go to queue, and if that queue limit will also cross, then same behavior will be there. So we will simply decline that request. But in spike control, we will have one advantage. After this limit, few message will go to queue. Now SLA based rate limiting. So in this case, what you can do, you can create different SLA for different clients. For example, you have one premium client and one normal client. So what you can do, for premium client, you will allow more number of requests, and for them you can allow 60 requests in a minute. And if you have normal client, then you will make 10 requests in a minute. So in this way you can create SLA for different client. That will be SLA based rate limiting. Spike control, it's very similar to rate limiting, but it will have some queue. It's already okay. Rate limiting already used. Okay. So what will happen here? After that limit, message will go in queue, and once whatever request is there already serving request, once it will be complete, then message from queue will go to that API call. Okay, so in this way spike control works. Generally in interview they will ask difference between rate limiting and spike control, basic authentication and client ID enforcement. Then they will ask individually also how client ID enforcement you will apply, what is JWT token policy and how you will apply. One more question is very important question, difference between JWT and OAuth. Okay, so let me explain you through this diagram. First, see how JWT token works. Okay, this is server, and this is server application, and this is resource of server. Okay, from where request we are getting this means data. Okay, or you can say this is client and this is server. Okay, so first client will make a request to authorization server. This is JWT authorization server. So what they will do, they will give us token. Now this client will take that token and will make request to server. So here on server only, they will validate this token using their public key. What public key they have configured, using that public key, they will validate that token is valid or not. If it is valid token, it will send response back to client. So client will get final response. In case of OAuth, first client will make request to OAuth server. They will validate this client and they will generate one OAuth token and they will give OAuth token. Now client will take that OAuth token and they will call to server. Now server will not validate that token. They don't have facility to validate token. They will call this OAuth service provider again. And then OAuth service provider will validate that token and they will send response back to server. Now if server will get success response, that is valid token, then it will send response back. If it will get invalid, then it will send invalid unauthorized error. So here difference is in JWT token request will come with token. Server itself will validate that token is valid or not. But in case of OAuth, it will go back to OAuth server and they will validate. Okay, if validation is successful, success response will go. Otherwise, it will send unauthorized error. So this part you need to keep in mind how this two works and what is difference.
Ravi, in both cases, we have to request the server for the token. So, is it the step of like purchasing their policy? Like, is there like a code we have to send? I didn't get that part.
Yeah, there are server like OAuth service provider are there. Same way JWT token service provider are there. You need to buy their subscription. Okay.
Okay.
Once you will buy their subscription, they will tell you, they will give you limit. Okay, you can make 10,000, 20,000. You can generate this many of token.
Okay.
Okay, annually they will charge some amount.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, now one like difference or advantage disadvantage you can say. In JWT token, once token will be generated, you will not able to invalidate that token. You can't expire that token until unless it will not complete their expiration time. And that expiration time will be set at this point only. If one JWT token is generated for 1 hour, you can't force to expire that token before 1 hour. Okay, till 1 hour that token will be valid. Since after sending that token, it's not going to server to validate. So where we will have that kind of detail, how many time it completed server. So it will be on server side. Authorization server has that capability to invalidate that token. But to validation, it's not going to authorization server. So the token will not be invalidated. But in case of OAuth server, OAuth policy, again it will go to OAuth service provider. Okay. So in this case, if you want to expire, if you want to change, like, okay, whatever token generated, it was generated for 1 hour, but you can go on server and you can make that expiration for 15 minutes. Then that token will be expired within 15 minutes. Okay. So whenever you want to do actual logout, okay, JWT token will not able to do actual logout since it's not going to authorization server to validate that token. Okay, once token is generated, it will be active for 1 hour. No one can do anything with that token. Okay, so if you want to do actual logout, like if you're, for example, you want to develop your API or like Android app, if one user is logged in with one device, another user will not able to log in. Like for example, if I logged in with my mobile A, and when I log in with mobile B, I want to log out from mobile A automatically. If you are using JWT token, you will not able to do this. Okay, but if you are using authorization token, then you can reset. Like once you will log in with another device B, at that time request will go to authorization server. Okay, and what you can do for this particular user, what all other token are there, you can invalidate that token. So if that user is logging with another mobile A, if he will make any request, again it will go to authorization server and it will check, okay, this token is expired. It will automatically redirect to logout page. Okay, so if you want to do actual logout, JWT token is not possible, OAuth is possible. Okay, fine then. So I think I am done with my all the classes and all the discussion. If you will have any query or anything, you can keep asking in WhatsApp group. I already invited everyone in another WhatsApp group. This group I will close now. Okay, so you need to be part of that private group is there now. Doubt PG. Okay, whatever doubts you will have, you can keep asking there. So whatever students I have, I am keep adding there. Okay, so yeah, that group will be active for maybe 6 months, 1 year. So you can keep asking their doubts, your doubts there. Fine then. Thanks everyone.
Ravi, I have the final one question. I think we last few months back we got the zero vulnerability related to the log4j, right?
Yes.
Yeah, in Mulesoft we mainly depend on logs or on the log4j. Is anything has impacted during that time to the Mulesoft versions, any version?
No, they have given multiple patch. Means they have given patch to apply. So we applied that patch and issue got resolved.
Okay, okay. In which version? 4.1 or 4.2
All
example?
version. All
All
version we are
versions.
affected. Yeah.
Okay, okay. If they're out of support to the Mulesoft, if the Mulesoft company's version is out of support,
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
then individually we need to apply, right, from our companies.
Yes. Individually you need to apply. If you are using Cloud Up, I think then they will do. But I was working on on-premise. So they used to keep updating actually. First they told us to apply this patch. Then after a few days, 1 week, they again sent us me email to change to apply different patch. And we asked them like how we can ensure like that vulnerability is not now it will not impact our API or system. They told even they don't know. So they ask us to keep applying multiple patches. And I think now issue got resolved.
Yes, yes. What you have done, you have downloaded the latest log4j and you have applied it to the.
No, we applied some patch.
Okay, okay. Patch means they have released the latest version. They ask you to go for the latest version of log4j and we need to apply to that, right?
Yeah, patch means like I'm not 100% sure, but patch means they will do some fix there. Okay, that patch
Okay.
if you will apply, for example, they have some bug. If you will apply that patch will resolve that particular bug.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Because
Yes.
on my application where we use the IAB, uh, we used the old version of log4j. That's why there will be no issue for us. But remaining application where the log4j and Apache, I think mainly it was impacted. Okay, okay. Thanks, Ravi. Because we use mainly Mule4 as a log4j. But
Yeah, yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, yeah, it's widely used. I think all application, everything was impacted.
Ravi, what are all other sessions you are also hosting? Like as you mentioned, there is one other session for real-time project,
Mm.
right? So
Sorry,
yeah,
sorry, sorry. Your voice is not clear. Can you tell me again?
Yeah, what are the trainings you are also hosting, Ravi? I'm interested to join other ones. So what are the ones you are hosting?
Okay. For my actually, I have multiple projects. For example, one is payment module, what we cover. A part of that, I have loyalty module, customer onboarding. These two are recorded session, and fee will be 8,000 Indian currency. And if you want to buy, if one new batch is started for real-time project only. So from yesterday and today, we completed all the software setup, and that is new project, that is fund management. That is again banking plus insurance project. So there we are going to cover functionality related to investment banking. For example, you can put some amount and you can buy different funds there in that bank, and based on your performance of that fund you can switch fund also. Like if some fund is performing good, then you can withdraw amount from non-performing fund and you can move to performing fund. And there will be some assessment also which will identify that user how much knowledge that user has on this like investment and all. Based on that, they will allow you to invest on some like what you can say high risk fund also, where there can be too much profit and too much loss. So those kind of functionality we are going to cover, and yeah, based on that we will have multiple API.
Got it.
What
Ravi,
company?
to,
Go ahead, sorry.
yeah, Ravi, to clear the certification, do you have any other sessions?
Okay, for certification one, yeah, you can ping me personally. See, frankly speaking, okay, let me stop first recording. Okay.